our job is to not impress people. Our job is to kill. मैंने बहुत failures देखे हैं.
मौत से बड़ा क्या हो सकता है?
हाँ जी.
आपका खास दोस्त में भी कोई हो सकता है आर्मी में जो अब आपके साथ नहीं रहा.
Militants leave their weapons and just move like civilians. So you have to let it go. You don't want that to happen. Any special forces, any Rashtriya Rifles unit, any police, any central armed police forces, the aim is not to harm the civilians. These orders are direct.
You see one of your teammates, your juniors or anyone कि यार वो आपके पास एक situation लेके आ रहा है, आपके दिल से निकल रहा है यार अब तो भाई मैं ऐसे देख नहीं सकता, इसे जाने दो, लेकिन ड्यूटी है, you cannot let go of that person, you have to make them stay here, you have to make them do the work. Has that ever happened with you?
This happens every second, third, fourth day because they are human beings, man. Special forces are a group of misfits and volunteers, but he's a human being. It
Obviously.
takes a toll.
अब जैसे मेंटल हेल्थ थेरेपिस्ट या साइकोलॉजिस्ट भी है.
I don't believe in those concepts.
If your son maybe when he becomes a proper adult and he comes to you कि I want to explore therapy, what would be your response? Thank you so much Shivender sir for being here. It's been lovely talking to you. I think since last 1 hour I am already having the good vibes, the vibes that I was actually looking for since a very long time. मतलब podcast अब से कर रहे हैं लोग आ रहे हैं, but you know you always look out for that one guest, you know, which gives you the thrills, the chills down to your very spine. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a lot for inviting me over. And I think so. It should be an invigorating session. Chills and thrills, though I am really not. I don't know how much. That much of intensity we can create, but then yes, sharing my experiences will be a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me over.
Definitely. So I was going through your family history, sir, and I saw that you know you are having a family where everyone is from army, right? मतलब आपने खुद भी अपने कितने बार पॉडकास्ट में बोला हुआ है कि infantry officers, आपके sisters, आपके brothers, आपके grandfathers, सब आर्मी में रहे, even British आर्मी में भी रहे. So when you hear things like this, you know, you're carrying this whole onus, maybe if you want to put it like that, of you know this legacy that you have. Was that a pressure any moment in your life from either childhood or even now also, the way you are portraying yourself in public?
I will not say that it was a challenge. Or it was a pressure from any side. But I think so soldiering sometimes it runs in the blood. You are in the business of war from generations. So वो इतनी जल्दी जाती नहीं. And there was no pressure as such कि मुझे accidentally I wanted to become a cricketer. I never wanted to join the So I never wanted to join the army. But then circumstances so happened that I was not, I would not say forced. The second love was always army for me. So I moved towards army. And
first love was cricket.
First love was cricket, yeah, any day. And फिर army की तरफ I was more intrigued, and my aim was simple for joining the army. There was no aim in my life apart from one aim, that was to fight a war, be a combatant, see combat operations, experience a operational tempo which a normal man cannot experience. So when all these things come together और आपको लगता है कि आपने उस लेवल के operations करने, so I did a lot of study, self-study, asked about for my family, and there was only one name which came, that is Special Forces does all these things. So मेरे को वो a smart looking army officer with well dressed uniform, stars on his shoulder, it never, मेरे को कभी वो that kind of army I never liked. I was always intrigued by the Second World War, David Sterling creating the SAS, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, own Special Forces, Indian Special Forces, Para Commandos at that time they used to be called. So people with less of military pomp and more of action, with long hair, wearing some kind of cargos, just moving around. So I always idolized those guys. So my always aim was to become like that. So if a role model like that, some guys moving with beard, long hair, and not really the kind of army which we look up to, but that kind of operational tempo, if I could get into my life. So my aim was always that. I was always trying to look for this. So this is how it transformed from a dream of joining the army, serving as with the best, trying to be the best, always the tip of the spear, first in, last out. And
First and last out?
Special forces are the first to go in at the most hazardous of places and the last to come out. So that is how the ethos of special forces are different from the rest of the army. So मेरा aim वही था, and God willing I got lot of action in that, and I really had a blessed life. I had as a young man, all my dreams were fulfilled. Otherwise, I wouldn't have liked the normal kind of job role which the army provides. But I had a tremendous, although it was a roller coaster one. During the course of podcasts, I have told many during previous podcasts also that it is a roller coaster. I've suffered, and the other thing is which I want to bring out is मैंने बहुत failures देखे हैं.
Failures
in the
broadly,
sense I have not cleared my SSB in first go. I cleared it in the third attempt. My probation, I couldn't clear it in first. It was in second and then third again. So I have seen it through I would say the trenches down to...
Were you a bright student or...
No. I was not a bright student, man. I was a notorious student. I always used to think that the class should get over and I should be in the playfield. I was always outside. I didn't want a 9-to-5 job. I never wanted it. I never wanted to be a guy who was very studious. I used to read, but off late I started reading, but then I never used to read. I always was looking to go out of the class. So I was not studious, not at all.
And being even an army brat, you must be moving in India continuously, right? There must be not one static place.
Yeah, there is not a static place. We were left, right, center. So see, a lot of places to see and that kind of life. But what I want to bring out is, even if you are an army brat, what you see the army from your father's perspective, that is totally different when you yourself wear the uniform. It's like a totally different world.
And during this time when you were, getting rejected in your SSBs, was there any pressure from your father's side or family side? Arey yaar, kya kar raha hai yaar?
Yeah, they were worried that why I'm not clearing it. I was worried more because my second dream was also like was going away. But then I knew going away in the sense कि cricket तो मिला नहीं अभी, special forces भी नहीं मिली, फौज भी नहीं, because you do get
so going away like spirituality.
No. Going away in the sense that I was not able to achieve it. कि यार ये भी चला जाएगा तो फिर करूँगा क्या? Corporate मुझे होना नहीं था, MBA में करना नहीं था. Although I had given the MBA paper, I had cleared it.
अच्छा, the CAT.
हाँ, symbiosis का दिया था. So मेरा हो गया था clear, but in the meantime my SSB cleared and I just left it and joined the academy. So that was it. But yeah, I saw those kind of failures. So I have seen. So I motivated myself, and that's how I landed in the OTA and then towards the army life.
And even I was researching about army thoda sa, and I searched that, what is the basic difference between an infantry and a regiment, and how basically PARASF operates and where they go. I came to a very interesting article which was telling that infantry is like the queen of Indian army, right?
Yeah.
These are the people.
The queen of battle.
Yeah, queen of the battle.
Yeah.
So it's like it directly operates on ground. आपका जितना भी वो मारने वाला system होता है वो ये लोग करते हैं. So if you could have explored that path, why didn't you explore that part? Why PARASF?
The issue which remains to be understood is infantry is the queen of the battle. So special forces is the elitist of that queen, if I may bring so. यानी कि आपके पास normal infantry है, there's foot soldiers who will do the job, because you can make all the strategies in the world. ठीक है, you can have dozens of strategies, dozens of tactics. If the last man standing on ground doesn't hold that piece of ground, it is of no use. You're understanding what I'm trying to say? So you can be the greatest strategist, but the person who has to go and capture that piece of ground, that is the infantry guy. So there are people who are supporting that infantry guy to reach over there in terms of communications, air support, logistics. But special forces is those people who is even beyond that guy, who are facing and trying to cut things at a point, at a particular place where the enemy is the strongest, or where the enemy is trying to reinforce that piece of ground where our guy is going. I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say. The special forces is going even 2 steps ahead and doing that kind of job with lesser strength.
Which is impossible for infantry to achieve.
Absolutely.
You put your special forces there.
Yeah, which is impossible for infantry to achieve, and to facilitate their capture of particular piece of ground, you put special forces at a place where the enemy is vulnerable and where you can inflict maximum damage. So you are the guys, if infantry will launch on the day of the war, that is called the D-Day. So special forces will be 2-3 days prior already behind the enemy lines. So you are if they are the queen, I think so you are the super queen of battle, and you have that kind of flamboyance. So there's a very beautiful dialogue from Band of Brothers. It's a HBO series on Battle of Normandy. It was released in HBO in, I think so, 96-97. So when the Normandy landings happen, when the mass paratroops of Allied troops takes place, so they land over there. So because it's so much of chaos and so much of mayhem of battle going on, that one of the guys asked the captain who's there of the American army, he said, I think so we are surrounded. We are surrounded by Nazis, the German troops all around. So he says it back to the soldier that we are paratroopers, we are bound to be surrounded. So those are those guys. So what the corollary which I'm trying to bring out is that one is queen and one is a super queen. So I wanted to be the super queen. I wanted to take all the adulation and the flamboyance and the action. So that is what it was.
But
driven.
But you were also telling this one thing about, your days in army, especially in special forces, that what you used to do was कि यार आए, मटन खाया, रम पी और बस मिलिटेंट्स को किया, ठोका, बस वही था. That was the whole schedule like. So there was no discipline. If I how I see this as a civilian, कि यार कोई discipline नहीं, बस खाया पिया और बस ठोका. So is that how the operations used to happen in Para-SF? Yeah, that's just one part of it.
Like I will tell you example, first of all, the special forces troops will be deployed at a place where the threat is the maximum.
Okay.
Where is the most, I would say, terrorist activity is happening. Because they are prized troops. They are crack troops. They are elite troops. आप उनको हर जगह नहीं भेज सकते. They will not do mundane duties of guarding a post and all those stuff. You understanding? It is not a mundane, I would say it's a wrong word, but they will not be employed for those kind. They are looking for the HVTs, that is the high value targets. If something has to happen at the right, if you are targeting militant leadership, if the leadership has to be targeted, then SF guys are required. If you are launching an operation which is beyond the capability of normal units, Para-SF, because the equipment profile is better. He is trained and motivated enough to do the job better. So it is why the special forces are volunteers, and this is why they are at a place where. So what I was telling is, our job is to not impress people. Our job is to kill militants. यानी हमें militant मारना है. So अब हम उसको, and we have to keep ourselves motivated. Now it is every night when you are going out, it can be the last day of your life.
You're mentally prepared for that.
You're mentally prepared for that. Like I've told it on many podcasts. I had food with my buddy in the night. Dinner.
Next day they were not
Next
here.
day he died in the operation. Same afternoon we again launched into the operation. So that kind of operational tempo, it plays a part on your psyche. अगर आप अपने आप को शेर, यानी if you don't think you are a lion and you don't have that kind of claws or paws to punch, you will not be doing that job. You cannot. It doesn't come like that. Your psyche is ingrained with violence and extreme sense of violence, extreme patriotism, everything.
Patriotism or protecting yourself. Like this is an argument which I heard from some veterans also. They were saying, yeah, जब तुम जमीन पे होते हो, तब ये नहीं होता है फैमिली, तब ये नहीं होता है कि देश, तब होता है कि मुझे यहाँ से निकलना है और अपने लोगों की जान बचानी है.
Absolutely. हाँ. So patriotism is a emotion which is making you do things
subconsciously.
However, when you are in a firefight or a contact, you are facing bullets, so you are first of all trying to protect yourself, the guy who is next to you. Rest everything doesn't matter at that point of time. However, those actions which are happening on ground at that particular point of time are a result of unabashed patriotism which has been instilled into you. We used to have Indian flags everywhere on our uniforms. Specifically, we don't wear on operations. We never used to wear name tabs and ranks. But India, he should know that this is my country when we are going to eliminate you. So that patriotism will always be the point where you will fight the maximum. However, when the firefight starts, the first thing which goes out of the world is your safety and everything. You try and align yourself and shoot back with the maximum amount of firepower you have at your disposal. आप समझ रहे हो? Because if you don't fire back, he's continuously going to fire back. To stop fire, you have to fire.
There's
back.
no
There
alternate.
This is not, it's not a debate. It is not debate. It is nothing. अगर आप नहीं करोगे तो वो आपको दबा के रखेगा. This is simple सी बात है. And you need to bring effective fire, stop him, kill him, eradicate him, neutralize him, do whatever it takes, and then move for the next thing.
And what if he's in the position which is, geographically somewhere in benefit of him? Like he might be at the top and you might be at the downside.
So
or the bottom.
In that case, you take your cover good and fight back. There is no other. Find out ways and means to either bypass, go behind him, go from the sides, do something, place some support weapons, bring even more accurate fire on him, try to pin him down. That is the only way to survive. If everything goes out of the way, then you just stay your ground. Wait, if it is time of some bad weather happens, then try to move left, right, center. But if he's pinning you down with heavy accurate fire, then you need to respect that, because incoming bullet has the right of way. You understanding?
Yeah.
So the bullet which comes, it doesn't see ki it is colonel, brigadier, major, captain. It doesn't see who it has the right of way, and you need to be in the right place to avoid it and then fire back.
If you picturize this for me, when these close encounters happen, just like you were earlier also telling me कि कई बार आपका ऐसा होता है कि इतना ही वैक्यूम होता है, सामने टेररिस्ट है और उसने गोली मार दी, एंड आपको भी रिकॉइल भी आ रहा है. अगर आप शूट करोगे रिकॉइल भी आपको बहुत क्विक आएगा, आपके पास ऐसे वेपन्स ही ऐसे हैं. सो हाउ डज दिस हैपन? इफ यू कुड गिव मी अ विजुअल इमेजरी ऑफ दिस.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, द एम ऑफ एनी ऑपरेटिव, यानी कि if he is a true blue operative, true blue in the sense if he is a real genuine kind of operative is never let the enemy so close. वो जो लोग चाकू निकाल कर अंदर घुस जाएंगे, that is the bloody last option which you have.
That's what people love in movies.
They love in movies, but if you have a assault rifle, which is the government of India, a Tavor assault rifle which has given to you, it's got a range of 350 meters, 400 meters effective range. Why would you want a person to come and mount on you, man? You're understanding? If you can eliminate that guy far off, it's always better to eliminate. However, there are certain circumstances when the ground or the terrain doesn't allow that luxury. आप समझ रहे हो? अगर मैं जंगल्स में ऑपरेशन कर रहा हूँ, try and visualize this: mountains, height 9-10,000 feet. There is lot of foliage, यानी कवर है, ट्री लाइन है, जंगल है, रवाइन है, नीचे नदी बह रही है, bushes हैं, you are so, and you can see थोड़ी openings हैं, pine trees हैं, you can see across the to the neighboring spur, आप नीचे से नदी बह रही, तो आप you are visualizing a scene जिसमें आपको दूर से बंदे दिखाई दे रहे हैं. That is a best part. You are observing a track or a bridge जिसको आप सर्विलेंस पे रखा है, जहाँ से मूवमेंट होनी है, जो आपकी इनपुट है, मे बी कपल ऑफ हाउसेज और समर हाउसेज जिसको ढोक कहते हैं. सो आप उसको ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हो. दैट इज क्लियर कट ऑपरेशन जिसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. एंड दैट इज, you will see a guy maybe at 50 meters, 100 meters, 70 meters, 150 meters. If you have a positive identification, yani positive identification, if he is carrying a weapon,
that this is the target.
This is the target, you engage him.
What if he has camouflaged the weapon somewhere?
If he has camouflaged, then as per the rules of engagement, till the time weapon is not confirmed, you cannot hit a guy. Yani civilians ko you cannot.
So this is a rule.
Obviously, we are there to protect civilians, and any army, any force, it doesn't allow to kill innocent people. Our aim is to protect them. If we don't have a positive identification, we don't see the weapon, हमने हथियार देखा ही नहीं. Even if he's a militant, in some cases militants leave their weapons and just move like civilians. So you have to let him go. Unless and until you have a positive identification, your int is so good कि यार ये फोटो है, यही वो बंदा है. Sometimes he's cutting his beard, sometimes his beard is long. If you don't have a positive identification, you can't engage him. It depends ki where you are engaging him. Now the second scenario, this is a clear-cut scenario which I gave you of jungle, which I would, as an operative, it is my bread and butter. I say yaar, it's a clean operation. Clean in the sense ki I'm getting a pot shot at a guy, just killing him, that's all. I don't have any worries ki collateral ho jayega. It will be a blue on blue. Blue on blue is sometimes at night you are firing amongst yourself only. Forces, it happens. It's a combat situation.
Amongst yourself, as in?
The parties are deployed, all measures are taken, but sometimes you see movement, it is unavoidable in certain circumstances when forces generally fire, because at night you don't come to know where you are sitting. You try and take measures. Collaterals are basically a civilian getting killed in a firefight. We don't want that to happen. Any special forces, any Rashtriya Rifles unit, any police, any central armed police forces, the aim is not to harm the civilians. These orders are direct. Because that operation we don't do where we are not certain. Now the second part of scenario which I want you to, in which you were saying, the guy just comes up front and that distance is truncated, is minimized. जैसे बिल्कुल ही सामने आ गया अचानक. वो scenarios are in built-up areas. Built-up areas where जहाँ पर घर आपके बिल्कुल पास हैं. आप श्रीनगर में देखते हो, localities, South Kashmir basically, Shupiyan, Pulwama, those houses are like one into. If your target house is this, you need to cover 3-4 houses. Because वो इतने चिपके हुए हैं, and majority of the times आपका target house में input इधर थी. Once you start searching, the militants fire from the third house, 99.9%. Because
these houses are connected.
Connected, obviously. He keeps on moving left, right, center. So what I'm trying to do is this kind of operations, when suppose I'm going inside a room I need to search because in the morning we have laid the cordon, everything has been laid. But आपको finally search तो करना ही पड़ेगा militant को बाहर निकालने के लिए. No firefight. One thing happens is कि आप cordon लगा रहे हो. You are placing your troops and the militants fire from inside. So you know कि इस घर में militant है. That is easy. That is done. But in case nothing happens, in the morning you have to search the house. In that kind of scenario, you are searching over here. Somebody might lob a grenade from the top floor. So again, you are like, so that is why this part of operation, personally, I feel is much more difficult. बहुत difficult है. It becomes really difficult. You don't know whether from this window fire will come or this window. You are all stuck up. And the configuration, जो घर का बनावट है, आप ज़्यादा गैप नहीं रख सकते. अगर ऊपर से किसी ने बर्स्ट मारा तो 1 bullet will hit you, उसका कोई स्प्लिंटर निकल कर, यानी कि उसका रिकोशे होकर आया, वो दूसरे बंदे को लग जाएगा. So any operation in which even if a militant is killed and your one guy gets injured, it's not a clean operation.
And I think this is my observation of
हाँ जी.
hearing you that अगर आप ऐसे मोमेंट्स में हैं जहाँ पे आपको पता है कि आपने रात भर वेट किया, अब आपको जाना है इंस्पेक्शन करने, यहाँ पे you cannot send in an infantry or a normal regiment. You need parasif, right?
नहीं,
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. नॉर्मल राष्ट्रीय राइफल यूनिट्स भी सर्च करती हैं. बट द पॉइंट इज कि इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट ऑपरेशन. आप समझ रहे हो? इट्स अ डिफिकल्ट ऑपरेशन बिकॉज इसमें द इफ्स एंड बट विच आर रिक्वायर्ड टू नो, विच आर द थिंग्स विच कैन गो रॉन्ग, योर कंटीजेंसी प्लानिंग, इट्स मैनी फोल्ड. अच्छा, इधर से आ गया क्या करूंगा, उधर से आ गया क्या करूंगा. आप नीचे बैठे हो, सिविलियन बाहर आ गया, पहले उसको आपको चेक करना है. सिविलियन ने कुछ नहीं किया ले. सो देयर आर पीपल मूविंग अराउंड. देयर आर lot of things which can go wrong in that kind of operation. Because आपने militant मारा नहीं, अब पॉजिटिव आइडेंटिफिकेशन हुई नहीं, उसने फायर किया नहीं, तुमने गलती से लगा एक कोई. आई विल गिव यू एन इंस्टेंस. वी वर सिटिंग कॉर्डनिंग अ हाउस इन साउथ कश्मीर. तो हमने कॉर्डन लगाया सुबह 3-4 बजे आजान से पहले जब होता है, तो उनको हम लगा दिया कॉर्डन. अब सुबह कोई बाहर निकलेगा, बिकॉज जनरली द टॉयलेट्स आर आउटसाइड. ओके, वो एक बंदा है, चलो उसको देख रहे हो, एंड ऑल्दो यू हैव नाइट विजन्स एंड यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग, इट बिकम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू आइडेंटिफाई द रियल गाय. फिर एक थोड़ी देर में आया, फिर दरवाजा खटखट हुआ, फिर बाहर निकला, एक बच्चा निकला, एंड ही स्टार्टेड रनिंग. ही जस्ट ब्लडी रैन. वो भाग गया बिल्कुल. अब जो हमारा बडी, जैसे मैं इधर बैठा हूं तो मेरे बडी के ऊपर से भाग गया वो, यानी ही वाज लाइंग डाउन ऑन द ग्राउंड बिकॉज देयर वाज नो कवर. आप अगर दरवाजे को कवर कर रहे हो, इफ यू आर कवरिंग द विंडो और अ डोर, अगर आपको कोई जगह नहीं मिल रही है, आपको कोई, यू आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी, जिसको कहते हैं ठोस आड़ आपको नहीं मिल रही है, आप अपने उसको पीछे हाइड, तो यू जस्ट लाई ऑन द ग्राउंड इन द स्मॉलेस्ट पॉसिबल पोजिशन एंड जस्ट एम एट द थिंग. सो अब वो बच्चा आया, वो भाग गया. अभी उसको अगर ये गोली मारेगा, बिकॉज हु विल रन इन, अ सस्पेक्ट ओनली विल रन, अ टेररिस्ट विल ओनली रन. जो फौज को ऐसे लगा, उसने कुछ किया नहीं, वो भाग गया. हमने सुबह उसके पूछा कि ये कौन भागा था भाई, सो जब व्हेन इट हैपेंड, सो बोला कि हमारा लड़का पागल है, यानी ही वाज मेंटली अनस्टेबल, सो ही रैन. अगर वो जवान उसको शूट कर देगा तो सिविलियन कैजुअलिटी होगी. So there are many dynamics going. It is not a clean, like people see ना कि निकले टकरा हेलीकॉप्टर में बैठे, टांगे बाहर लटकाई, 10 मारे 5. It doesn't happen like that, man. It is a difficult operations. These are all. It takes a lot of time. 4 months. Every night you have to be out. Not every kill you go and you are killing 2-3 ऐसे होता नहीं. So when you're doing it continuously over days and nights and you are not getting a successful contact, complacency sets in. आप समझ रहे हो? ह्यूमन बीइंग है, आप वही चीज करी जा रहे हो, आपको सक्सेस नहीं मिल रही, तो कॉम्प्लेसेंट होता है आदमी. हर होता है इसमें.
इरिटेशन आती है,
फ्रस्ट्रेशन आती है, बिकॉज यू आर वर्किंग सो हार्ड, देयर इज नो बॉडी क्लॉक बीइंग फॉलोड, you are whole night you are awake
without food, water,
Food, water you are getting, but then I will tell you, the int comes at 11 o'clock at the night.
The
intelligence,
अच्छा, okay.
हमको खबर आई रात को 11 बजे कि
हम्म,
उस घर में, इस मोहल्ले में मे बी 2-3 मिलिटेंट्स बैठे हैं. द सोर्स इन्फॉर्म्स. सो देन अभी वो आए हैं, कितनी देर बैठेंगे, 1-2, योर रिएक्शन टाइम. सो हमारा सब सामान तैयार है, द लोड आउट, चेस्ट रेग, ये weapons, secondary weapons, everything is laid out at night. So when I sleep, I'm wearing the combat uniform and sleeping. मैं अपनी ड्रेस पहन के सोता हूँ. I am not into नाइट सूट पहन के कि मैं आराम. It's combat ना. You cannot do it. It's not a civil world कि लोग सोच रहे कि अब मैंने कॉर्पोरेट की मीटिंग है, मैं चद्दर ओढ़ के नहीं सो सकते. So you are wearing your combat dress, you are alert. क्योंकि पहले इंक्लिंग होती है कि कुछ ना कुछ होगा. So 11 o'clock this thing happens, you try, start briefing, the guys call you, then you make out the plan. ये करते करते 1-2 घंटे जाना वाना करते, वहाँ पर गए, पहुँचे 3-4 बजे तक. You lay the cordon, come back, कुछ नहीं मिला, it's a nothing to report, or you didn't find anything, the input was wrong or the terrorist निकल गया में कुछ. You come back, वापस आते आते 6-7 बज गए. अभी आप ब्रेकफास्ट खा के नहाओगे, कुछ whatever somebody is changing, कुछ कर रहा होगा, 9 बजे फिर आ जाएगी इनपुट कि देयर 2 guys over there, you again off. अगर बीच में बारिश पड़ गई तो आपके कपड़े गीले हैं, आपके शूज ठीक नहीं है, आप ये कर रहे हो, वो कई बार वो भी नहीं खुलते, आप गेट पे पहुंचते हो, यू विल गेट द इनपुट कि भाई उधर बंदे हैं. ओके ठीक है सर, तो उधर निकल जाओ. सो दैट इज हाउ इट अफेक्ट्स यू. एंड एवरी डे देयर आर डेज व्हेन यू आर लॉन्चिंग 3 operations in a day. If it is far off, you will get a halo effort.
Is that a very strong effort as a leader to motivate your team कि भाई थोड़ा जाग के रहना, अपने को aware रहना?
Yes. So although special forces are group of misfits and volunteers, but he's a human being. It takes a toll. It takes a toll on your psyche. Killing is not an easy job. I will pay you 2.5 lakh rupees per month or 1.5 lakh as a young officer. Tell you to jump from an aircraft, come back, do underwater diving thing, go back to the militants, climb mountains regularly for 7 days in the night without sleep, come back again and be ready for another task. I can vouch for it, 99% of the people won't do. नहीं करते लोग. It is not a easy, it looks a very glamorous life, but when you are living it every day out of it, till the time you are on leave or तुम कहीं निकलते हो, every day it happens. And this is a continuous process. That is why they say कि counter-terrorist operations every 3 months troops should be given leaves. This is the SOP which army follows. Generally, it is a good thing because it takes psyche. And for the leaders, it sometimes happens you are not gone on leave for 7, 8, 9 months also. So it starts, and you have to keep motivated. And on top of that, if in your operation, by chance, after taking so many precautions, a civilian dies, all hell breaks loose.
Achha, the whole machinery is there to blame you basically.
Obviously, people will do that. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not an easy job. It's not a cutout job. It's not a job for the boy next door. आप समझ रहे हो? You have to be crazy for it. यानी कि we can talk about allowances, कि इनको allowances मिलते हैं, इनको ये मिलता है. मैं आपको गारंटी के साथ कह सकता हूँ, मैं अगर मेरे को 25,000 अलाउंस एक्स्ट्रा मिलता है, मैं आपको 50,000 रुपए देता हूँ अगर आप ये लाइफ लीड करके दिखा दो. It is not possible. Your mind has to be attuned towards extreme violence and killing. It doesn't come in one day कि मैं आज I'm a corporate guy. So I find it very, very difficult कि corporate में यानी they say कि it's a challenge every day. Challenges are very galore everywhere on where you want to take it. But that kind of challenge, that is why even if you are in Ivy League universities, leadership lessons are taught from World War II only. Because army is the closest place where you will find true leadership, because life of a person depends on it.
Has it ever happened कि you are a professional obviously when you are leading an operation?
Yeah.
But you see one of your teammates, your juniors or anyone कि यार वो आपके पास एक situation लेके आ रहा है, आपके दिल से निकल रहा है, यार अब तो भाई मैं ऐसे देख नहीं सकता, इसे जाने दो, लेकिन ड्यूटी है, you cannot let go of that person, you have to make them stay here, you have to make them do the work.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened with you?
This happens every second, third, fourth day because they are human beings, man. They have got a wife at home, they've got a family at home. There are issues which are going to develop. A wife sitting 500,000, 1,500 kilometers away does not know what the guy is doing over there. 90% of the time उसको मालूम ही नहीं होगा कि उसका हस्बैंड मालूम है कि J&K में डिप्लॉयड है, पर कहाँ डिप्लॉयड है कुछ नहीं मालूम है. His wife or kid has to be enrolled into a school. उसकी ट्यूशन फीस देनी है, उसकी स्कूल की फीस देनी है. That guy is never there. He is working for the nation. There is no, he will have somebody's mother is falling ill, somebody's father is falling ill. You have those duties also. So we try to take care of things. We definitely try to give leave if we can give. But there are instances, and that is what leadership is all about. You have to make your command understand ki your operational task, your the things which you are there for, the pride which you are holding, the amount of trust this nation has in you has to be done. Have you ever seen army going on strike?
Never.
No, tell me an instance. Total, any viewer, anybody can you ask why army doesn't go on strike? Everybody goes in this country. Can you, and why don't you have a 5 days week in army? Because the line of control is to be managed 24/7 into 365. There is no Saturday, there is no Sunday, there is no Diwali, there is no Holi, there is nothing. Because you don't know when the infiltrator will come. Will he tell I'll come on Saturday or Monday morning? So this culture of having 5 days week it's a bygone thing.
It's a corporate policy.
Oh, it's a corporate policy. Because you have that legacy. Army guy cannot say how many times troops deployed on line of control. Leave the special forces. Normal troops, BSF, CRPF. Ask them how many times they have enjoyed Diwali at their home in their service careers of 20-25 years. Maybe 3, 4, 5 times. So when you are doing that kind of job, your mental faculties and that aggression has to be inbuilt in you. You cannot have a very easy kind of a life and then believe कि मैं इसको with a very pragmatic thought process से बैठ कर इसको मैं solve करूँगा. तो that is how it goes. So that is why the leadership challenges are there. That is why you have leaders. That is why so much is invested into the leaders. That is why Indian Army is a officer-led army. That is why it is.
And even in this conversation, you're continuously saying that casualty of a civilian is a very big deal for an army.
Absolutely.
And whenever they are doing it. There is a very important operation that happened in Indian history, the Operation Blue Star, which was in Amritsar, and the whole history about it, I think mostly everyone knows. Yeah. So there, I think one para-SF was deployed to take charge of this operation, but still there were many incidents which I read about this particular operation. ये info नहीं था कि वो लोग कितने trained थे. They were already having a lot of ammunitions. It also, I think, went down for almost 8 to 9 days. It took a lot of time for them. So when operations like this, especially Blue Star in concern, right? You know this is a civilian place. This is not a place where you will find.
It's a place of worship.
Yeah, it's a place.
So troops went barefoot inside. Can you beat that?
Barefoot.
Yeah. Keeping the things in mind of the religious sentiments of the people.
And the people who are actually doing these operations, the militants, they.
Yeah, you can. So what I'm trying to say is, for rules of engagement, terrorist doesn't have any rules of engagement.
Irrespective of religion.
Irrespective of his affiliation with anything. He doesn't follow any rule. If he has to kill civilians, he will kill civilians. But tell me, army can do it blatantly. Army cannot do it blatantly. आप कैसे, यानी कि operation कैसे? The first thing with anybody going is, भाई, let civilians be safe. Commanders at all level, starting from a troop commander, from a squad commander, from a section commander, down till the 15 corps commander or whosoever is the army commander. Everybody says ki This is what the norm of the army is. You are protecting your own people. So this is very crystal clear, black and white. इसमें कोई doubt नहीं है कि आपने militants को neutralize करना है, but not at the cost of killing civilians. It doesn't happen.
Could you give me an overlay of how this operation went, especially from the lens of a para-SF?
The
Operation Blue Star.
Yeah. I will not, because I was not there. It is 1984, so I was 6 years old. I have just read it. I have not read it also that well. So I just cannot comment on that kind of operation. Had operations I can comment on when I have been part of. But I'm really sorry. I have heard things. I've read about things, and I've not read it in that detail also. You might have read it better than me. So I know this much because my brother-in-law happens to be from one para-SF.
अच्छा.
So he is told कि ऐसे हुआ था, and he was also not commissioned. He was also commissioned in 1989. So the hearsay accounts might be there. I might not be the right guy to comment on this operation.
Especially if you talk it from this lens कि अभी जैसे there might be a lot of equipments or a lot of things that we must be having with us.
Yeah.
That the para-SF must
Obviously,
be having with
yeah.
us. But that time, that must not have been the case. Right?
No. They might be fighting with normal SLR rifles now. So there's plethora of equipment. The resilience of man, their I would say field craft, battle craft, how they would have engaged. आजकल तो काफी the technological advancements are of very very high level. उस पर obviously we are talking around 40 years back. So the kind of proficiency those guys might have put in, but it is a military operation which I don't know whether how they have planned it, they have done it. They needed to do it because army doesn't get involved unless and until the nation wants it to be like that.
Maybe I'll just connect the dots here a bit for you. Jesse, you are someone who has served in the valley, in the Kashmir valley, and you were there in operations, right?
Yeah.
So this Operation Blue Star is just one example of how the para-SF or the army had to deal with civilians also.
Absolutely.
But when that thing you face personally in Kashmir, how does that work honestly, right? जैसे आपने एक example बताया कि बच्चा ऊपर से चला गया, right? This is one instance.
Yeah.
How does the talking with everything works? क्योंकि आपका एक set notion भी तो है वहाँ पे कि एक bureaucracy है कि ये this is the DM, this is the SSP. They are going to have orders. They are going to have their own things to implement. Then your army is a separate institution itself, right?
Yeah.
So if you are working together, also keeping the civilians in sync with all the authorities, how did that work for you?
First of all, the thing is that army per se is for the district administration. We are there to assist. Apart from the line of control area which is there, where it's our job only to protect it. In hinterland, if you see, we are there to assist civil administration. Why army was called into J&K? Because the civil administration, the police had failed. That is why army was called. You understanding? So at this point of time, this juncture, whatever actions army takes is in total consonance with the civil authorities. If we are searching a house, there is police rep with us. There is, if ladies are involved nowadays, lady reps of police are there. Everything is by the book. Nothing, a certificate is taken, the gaon, nambardar or the headman. Everything we take those kind of steps. Nothing army does ki army is following its own military agenda. In relation to the points where police is not involved, like the manning the line of control, that is where army is totally army in itself.
And how does the talking with civilian works? Is it the army people doing it or the
bureaucrats? We have troops, translators in our regiment also, and we have civilians also. So we are able to understand the Kashmiri language or whichever the language of the. We have translators with us. So generally we are able to converse, and it is our part of the world. 99% people understand Hindi. So I don't think so Kashmiri becomes, or in J&K particular, it becomes such a big issue.
But is winning a trust a big deal there? And also like trusting someone a big deal there, right? Because they might be saying कि अरे हमने तो कुछ नहीं किया, हमारा ऐसा scene है कि we are not keeping this particular person. There might be the relative, the militant who is taking shelter there. So does that ever happen with you personally?
Yeah, it happens. You need to understand one thing, ki the militants or the terrorists, they are not provided food in army camps and shelter. आप समझ रहे हो? In army and security forces camp में तो हम उनको खाना नहीं देते. So it has to be local support on which they thrive. That is though it doesn't require any great genius to understand that thing. So there are cases when the sympathizers or the overground workers are there who provide that tacit support in terms of money, house, and whatever they can build they are taken care of. These things happen. That is part and parcel of the job. So this is how it goes. So yeah, support is provided. Sometimes int is there, but at the end of the day, I would say that they have a less shelf life.
Shelf life as in?
And their life is less. They will get killed somehow or the other.
By the
army and armed security forces. Because kitni der aap left right karoge. So it will end. Nobody, unless and until he surrenders, he has a smaller life. And that is how it's supposed to be. Because you are facing a force which is better trained, more in numerical superiority. They will get you. आज नहीं मिलेगा तो कल परसों, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month. They will get him. Have you ever seen a case where militant has killed civilians or they have harmed the security forces and they are able to get back safely, or they are not?
Maybe for some time.
Maybe for some time. 1, 2, 3, 4, but they will be eliminated.
And what if they surrenders?
That is a policy that surrenders there. That's okay. There's no problem. Police takes them and then the court of law decides what's to be done with them. So surrender it's open. If he doesn't surrender, then there are messengers of God to take him over there. The people who are doing the job.
And moving towards thoda current developments of the country.
Yeah.
They say the AGNIVEER scheme is in the news. Well, not in the news, but it is something which usually people are talking about a lot. Now there is this whole thing about that this scheme should either be removed completely or it should be moderated. As a guy who is so passionate about army, right? I'm not here to politicize this issue or put you a question here कि मुझे मसाला मिल जाए for politics. अरे ये तो pro government है, anti government है. From the scale of an army man who is passionate about his job, how do you see this scheme? Because another facet that I had with this question was there are some countries at the moment in the world who have made army training mandatory. And even in India, you see there have been some horrible incidents like this whole violence that happened in Bengal recently. And the way the crowd, especially the youth, is becoming sort of extremist, right? Because there is no proper training or regulation of stuff, right? Like not everyone can go out and read books and be in that discipline.
Absolutely.
So maybe I'm connecting various things here, but I hope you're getting the perspective here. I wanted to know your thought on this.
First of all, coming to the AGNIVEER scheme, the point as a army guy, only one point I have. Is that a person gives his life for the country. And I think so the pension part of it should be given to that guy. You understand?
For the time they have served.
For the time they have served. You do that. Otherwise, I'm okay that they are saying, and even if you are implementing the scheme, if the government can enforce that after serving those 3 or 4 years in the army, he goes back and he gets a employment somewhere. Then also things are because their main concept was to keep the army younger. More guys coming and younger. However, these things need to be seen from both the perspectives. This is my view. एक pension दे देनी चाहिए, and then absorption of troops in lateral, maybe armed CRPF, police forces. He should not be made to search for jobs. That is a big question which I feel might arise. Otherwise, if the government has decided and the army top hierarchy has accepted it, might be some merit in it. Because I am not able to see the Agniveers really in action. How was the quality? Quality might be good only or bad, because I had left army by then. So by the time the first soldiers came, I was not there to serve. So, but my point is only about these two things. Lateral absorption, after he leaves, he should get a job. He should not be begging around left, right, center. And pension should be given to a guy. That is what the tradition is going on. And the other part of it is that it is Army, Air Force, Navy. The armed forces have accepted it. The government had laid down its course of action. We have accepted it. So it means we are in agreement to the scheme. That is how it goes.
And how do you feel about the feeling that I gave this example, right? That there are some countries that were training,
like
making
India
army.
is a I would say it's a democratic country with a lot of population. Having mandatory training, in my view, it might be possible. You can do it compulsorily, because training, what is the purpose? The countries which do it generally are those countries which are in population, their size is limited. So when adversity or war faces them, so they can produce or they can.
China used to do it, I think.
तो reserve करके आप उसको fight करके कर सकते हो. But India जैसी जगह में आप कर सकते हो train, but I am not very sure कि how will the part which is related to if you are trying to learn self-defense and all those kind of things. So those curriculums can be part of your school curriculum also, school and colleges. Because उसमें तो आप, I don't think so कि a major part apart from academics, anything goes into कि मैं self-defense सिखाऊं कोई.
Sports is also a rare thing. तो self-defense तो काफी
self-defense
वो ऊपर
पीछे
चला
है.
गया.
You can implement those things as far as women are concerned. यानी कि you can implement those kind of, at least a person should know कि this is how a fire extinguisher, for example, has to be used. 99% of us might not be knowing how a basic CPR is given. This is basic things. Things can be taught. What to look out in a place when you go to a restaurant. Where are the emergency doors? People don't know. People are literally are not aware ki when to use stairs, when to use that. Although all signposts are marked, but then generally people don't use. That is why stampede and all these things happen. And basics can be taught as part of one of the subjects. You might not need to enforce military training per se, but yeah, some ethos of the army, some kind of team building exercises, because leadership is not taught only in any school, I think so. How do you learn leadership? There are no mandated classes of leadership.
And I think there is not a continuation of updates कि हर दिन leadership भी तो change हो रही है. अब आप 10 साल वाले principle apply कर सकते हो, but उसमें भी तो moderation
होगी. So it depends on school to school, colleges to colleges. I don't know how do they follow, because somebody has to educate them in this aspect. So my views are very compulsory military training, I don't think so. But event like these, so first of all, it is a shame on the society itself that we are letting these things happen to our own women in the society. And but then even if it happens, first of all, it's very unfortunate. It should not happen. The court or the law should be such that it gives the punishment to the culprit as soon as possible. It should not take its going down the
judiciary
court of
lane.
Law, judiciary for 5 years. That is what we can say.
Moving towards bit of geopolitics here. The recent developments that happened in Bangladesh. जैसे there are a lot of facets that people are trying to attach to this कि यार Indian intelligence का इतना बड़ा drawback कैसे हो गया कि उनको पता ही नहीं चला कि something so much big is happening, right? And then another angle is that US is funding this so that they can they might not be liking the way India is developing at the moment or making their, relations at international scale, especially when you see India being friends with Russia and India having its individual stand. So there are many things like that. So as a army person, how do you see this current development? Especially, you already have Pakistan, which has been a problem since
Yeah,
ages. You have China, जो अभी भी आपके वहाँ पे बैठा हुआ है LAC पे. अब आपके पास बांग्लादेश भी आ गया हुआ है. So what does this says for India?
First of all, like the first part of your question is that it's a failure. We didn't realize that a coup will happen. We were not able to. This is what I see in the press or in the media.
Yeah.
That we were caught unawares. And the issue remains, the larger picture which remains to be seen is that those countries like Nepal, countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh in particular, because we have been responsible for its liberation in 1971 we liberated East Pakistan, earlier it used to be that. So it's being such close, and where it can be, which it has been a launch pad for subversive activities in India, this kind of things, it's an imminent danger. Plus, there is also an issue of minorities being involved in it. We have Hindus in Bangladesh. So there, I don't know how much is the videos are true, but then if atrocities of minorities are coming, the interim government, the president who has been nominated and the Prime Minister of India, they are in touch with each other that minorities need to. So keeping in view all these things in mind, it's a volatile situation. So we need to keep our guard up as a nation, because it doesn't take time for a particular nation becoming a drain on our resources. There can be large-scale infiltration, although they have sealed the borders. People are aware that the minorities or the immigrants might not shift from there to India. So it is a burden on our society. But then we need to have a very stable policy and keep a check on things. Basically, it should not hamper our own stability as a nation, because it can, although a smaller, only one part, but it shares border with, I think so, 6-7 states of India. So we need to be on the guard. It should not proliferate towards our side. That is more important.
And what about the defense aspect of this? You are having Pakistan and China already.
Yeah.
Although, like, I have been to
Bangladesh colluding with both of them, I have my doubts. It is said that they can be one of the bases from where the attack or some kind of military intervention can be launched. But India needs to keep a check on that. We need to be aware. Now that thing has happened, we will need to have our guard up. It might be a possibility that instability in Bangladesh will obviously, because a lot of trade and everything, it's hampered because of that. It's not only military, economic ties are also at stake. So yeah, we need to be on the guard.
Although I was actually seeing this argument, again and again I have read this, that on paper comparison, if you do it, the Indian military's comparison with countries like China or even other countries, it must be something कि यार ये country तो हमसे बहुत better है. But I had an observation here that Indian army is that army which is actually very active army, right? You're continuously active in northeastern states. You're continuously active in Jammu and Kashmir. You're continuously involved in some matters that requires your effort from civilian side. तो वहाँ पे भी आप लोग हैं. So in that sense, I think Indian army is a very professionally active army. What do you feel about this?
I would say combat hardened.
Combat
hardened.
Hardened.
You are saying professionally active. I will say it's combat hardened. It has seen firefights. It has seen encounters. It has seen insurgency. In J&K, it started in 89. It's 2024. Northeast is going on since past 5-6 decades. So we are a combat hardened army. Any army
Hmm.
which has seen combat in any form or the other, and we have been fighting wars like 47, 65, 62, coming on to 99 Kargil, we have been seeing that kind of action. So the teeth of the army are always sharpened. If you are regularly firing, जिसको कहते हैं हम लोग स्पेशल फोर्सेस में बैरल गर्म रहता है, यानी बैरल हैज टू बी वार्म टू फायर द राउंड. तो गर्म करके रखो बैरल, ताकि अगर गोलियां चलती रहेंगी तो in that case we are a competent and professionally very rich army. And very well hardened. We have seen it is not a I have told it a couple of times before, we are not a pushover in that kind of place. We have our army which is well trained, rather the armed forces for that matter. And we have the largest paramilitary force in the world. We have our institutions. It's a big nation. It has challenges, but it is not that we will just be taken for granted and anything anyone can do about it. It doesn't happen like that. I don't see that happening in our case. So we are well entrenched. Minor skirmishes, it will keep on happening. That is how the world progresses and sees. So I am not worried about the steadfastness of the army. I'm pretty sure that we will defend ourselves well.
Yeah.
Even if military might is superior, but then it is not that we are just pushovers or something like that. I don't feel that way. Yeah.
And moving towards one of my favorite sections of podcast, where we talk more about you and your mental health experiences, right? I don't know whether you have talked about this on any other podcast or not. You are yourself saying things कि आपने 30 गोलियां फेस करी है सामने आपको एक भी गोली नहीं लगी. आपने अपने दोस्त के साथ, आपके बड़ी के साथ, जिनके साथ भी आप खाना खा रहे थे, नेक्स्ट डे they were not there with you. Multiple incidents, I think, that you cannot even remember at the moment must have happened with you, or they stays in your subconscious. You cannot remove it. There is a word actually for this that is called PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Post-trauma stress disorder.
Did you ever experience that?
Like मैं आपको, if you are in combat and you're seeing regular combat, your mental faculties, the mental state, वो आपकी उस टाइप की सिचुएशन को अट्यून्ड हो जाता है. आप you start seeing things which are a potent threat to your well-being. यानी कि आपको लगता है कि because you are always on a guard for that part of the duration of your stay in a particular place. So it doesn't happen कि आप 15 दिन के लिए 20 दिन के लिए घर आए तो वो चीज़ आपसे चली जाएगी. I will give you an example. Like when we used to be operating, so a lot of firefights and everything used to happen. So even if I come back home and I'm in the marketplace and a tire bursts or a balloon bursts, तो मुझे ऐसा लगेगा कि यार somebody has fired. Because I don't think so it is something wrong or it is kind of a greater stress disorder. It is just that your mental faculties are attuned to that kind of thing. You will not, I personally didn't have nightmares or something like that after killing or something, because you don't get that much of time only. However, because आपने वो काम for the majority part of your service किया है, that extreme violence you have been subjected to, the on-off switch, when the transition comes from being a special forces operative or a tier 1 operative to civil life, it takes some time. In my case, it takes some time. I generally sometimes miss that, okay yaar, ye aisa hota hai. Things like you are always trying to probe ki where the danger can come from. Now, as a student, you might not be privy to certain things. As an operative, if I go to the restaurant, ये मैंने पहले भी बताया, restaurant, you are generally checking where you will sit. यार सब तरफ दिखाई दे रहा है, because that has been ingrained into your psyche. आप समझ रहे हो? Emergency exits check कर लूँगा. I will see if lift is not working, if something happens, where the staircase is. So these things are, I think so, naturally ingrained into the psyche. अगर फौज में उतना टाइम रहकर अगर किसी का उतना दिमाग नहीं चल रहा है तो मेरा चलता है. दिस इज व्हाट आई फील. देयर इज नो PTSD कि आई एम हैविंग नाइटमेयर्स कि आई किल्ड गाइज, वैसा कुछ नहीं है. बट दीज काइंड ऑफ minor things.
Or maybe it's just that you don't want to accept that, because अभी भी मेरे को लगता है कि mental health का ऐसा है कि as a society, not only for army, कि उसको accept करने में हमें डर लगता है.
ये भी हो सकता है
कि एक denial है यार, नहीं मेरे को कैसे mental health trauma हो सकता है.
बिल्कुल सही बात है.
तो
हो सकता है,
वो हो सकता है.
दूसरा आपको मैं बताता हूँ, हमारी ट्रेनिंग वैसी है. If I have to run 20 kilometers, my knee is aching or my hamstring is pulled, I will still run. Because हमको हमारा पेन का थ्रेशोल्ड जो नॉर्मल सिविलियन के लिए थोड़ा सा स्प्रेन है, which he might show to the doctor, for us it is a like a walk in the park. हम उसको मैनेज करेंगे बिकॉज हमको अट्यून कर दिया आपने उस पेन को बढ़ाने के लिए. सो अ नॉर्मल गाय, व्हाट पेन थ्रेशोल्ड्स ही इज हैविंग, आई विल हैव एट अ हायर लेवल. हमारा मेंटल फोकस वैसे है. यू डोंट टेल देम लाइक यू आर मेड टू डू दैट काइंड ऑफ ट्रेनिंग. आपको लगता है 30-40 किलोमीटर कुछ है नहीं. आप यू विल आस्क नॉर्मल गाय कि भाई तू 30 किलोमीटर भाग लेगा सुबह. सो it's a awakening for that person. For you, even if your calves are paining, क्योंकि आपने वो हर रोज करना है, आपको हर रोज करवाया गया है. Your mental psyche has become यार ये. So it has got two way effect. The positive is you don't feel that much of pain and normal चीजें भी आपको मिलेंगी. फोन मिल गया, ठीक है. नेटवर्क है, ठीक है. लाइट नहीं है, ठीक है. बट फॉर अ नॉर्मल गाय हु स्टेज विद, वो बोलेगा फोन नहीं है, ब्लडी होल वर्ल्ड इज क्रैशिंग डाउन, कोई पता नहीं लाइट कैसे चली गई, एवरीबॉडी इज अंधेरे में. यहाँ पर दिन ही रात से और रातें भी दिन लाइट के बिना ही कटी हैं. तो घर से बात हो गई एक हफ्ते में, ठीक है. नहीं हुई, यू आर नॉट एबल टू स्पीक टू योर गर्लफ्रेंड इन द मॉर्निंग, यू हैव गूज बम्प्स. यहाँ पर 6-4 महीने किसी से बात नहीं हुई तो वो चला हुआ है. सो दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, the on-off switch is always, it's difficult. People who manage that and seamlessly, army guys who seamlessly come into the corporate life, hats off to them, man.
You're also doing that.
No, I'm not doing. I'm
You're an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur. I live my own life. I had a strict kind of thing कि मैं orders और नहीं ले सकता हूँ. I have a very
ऑर्डर्स और नहीं लेने.
नहीं, ले लिए मैंने जितने ऑर्डर्स लेने थे. I've done. I wanted to do my own thing. So, but people seamlessly go into the corporate, and army guys are doing exceedingly well. Hats off to them. But I'm not that guy. मेरे से होता नहीं. And it's my on-off switch. It takes time. So I'm attuned towards that. That is me. I don't know about XYZ. What does he feel about it? वो क्या सोचता है? वो कैसे करते हैं? I'm not trying to demean anyone. I'm not trying to say कि that is correct or that is what I cannot do. So, like I was crystal clear that I will not do a job. I will do something in which I'm doing something of my own. So even if I do the only transferable skill which I got from the special forces, so I chose a career in that. I never went for the, यानी मैं IIM के resettlement courses पे जिसमें 99% आर्मी ऑफिसर्स जाते हैं, मैं नहीं गया उधर. मेरे को मालूम था मेरे से होगा ही नहीं ये. आई कैनॉट बी बिहाइंड अ लैपटॉप फॉर 6, 7, 5, 7, 8 hours a day. I need to move out. I need to. That is me. That is me personally. So when I started this career as a young guy like you are, around 2001 when I joined the academy, I didn't want a 9 to 5 job. I wanted to climb mountains, I wanted to see the world, I wanted to jump from an aircraft. मेरे शौक वो थे, and God willing that I got. And those शौक अगर वो मेरे थे, वो आज भी वैसे ही रहते हैं. You will tell me to climb a mountain, go for trekking.
Age की वजह से
No,
there is
it
no
doesn't.
impact on
It
that.
doesn't affect me. I like that kind of life. Age doesn't affect me. I'll turn 46 next month. So the point is, my dreams are still like that. I still run 20-25 kilometers a day. मेरे को अच्छा लगता है भागना. मुझे अपना physically fit अच्छा लगता है. I don't feel like partying. I sleep at 9 o'clock, get up early, do my things, do my
you
work.
feel sad about that routine sometimes? Not like I'm putting up this question, as in this
Sad
sense
about the which routine?
the routine that you're following कि वो
Right now.
recurring हो रहा है, वो daily हो रहा है.
No, I'm enjoying it. What is my present routine?
Yeah.
No, it's not sad. It is the
कि आप
most best
रोज
routine.
30 किलोमीटर भाग रहे हो.
नहीं, मुझे
आप
अच्छा
रोज
लगता है
हो गए.
भागना.
अच्छा, you are
हर रोज
enjoying.
नहीं, किसी दिन 15 भागूंगा, किसी दिन 12 भागूंगा, किसी दिन शाम को
पर
भागूंगा, दोपहर
भागना
को,
है.
पर भागना है. I feel I have to get out of the door first thing in the morning. That is me. That is what I have been trained throughout my life. Whether I was deployed in mountains, हम लोग सबसे पहले काम ही पैराट्रूपर्स पीटी करते थे. Ask any paratrooper. कोई रहता ही नहीं, 4-5 बजे उठ जाओगे फिर. You are out in the, whether you are running in town of Agra, whether you are running somewhere deployed, whether if you are deployed in valley, you are running across that helipad only. 300 मीटर के उसी के 15-20 चक्कर मार रहे हो. So that is ingrained in ourselves. Somebody is doing weight training, somebody is doing running, somebody is playing a game. But that is part and parcel of it. That is what we have done. How you can just forget it. That is why I say the transition वो इतना भी seamless नहीं हो सकता कि पता ही नहीं लगे कि बिल्कुल ही बंद हो गया. So I like it. I like what I am doing. It's just, and the best part about civil life is I don't have much responsibilities. I'm not responsible
for
like commanding a battalion of.
Okay, in that sense,
that
professional
sense, yeah.
responsibility.
Some teams deployed in valley, some is exercising in Rajasthan, somebody is down south doing amphibious exercise, someday families are there, something happens, everything blames, I would say, responsibility comes to the commanding officer. So that kind of responsibility is not there on me. I'm a lone single bird just looking after my family, that's what it is. It's crystal clear. So ये तो इतनी आज़ादी तो मैंने लाइफ में कभी नहीं देखी थी. मैं तो I have never seen, मैं सोचता हूँ कि सिविल लाइफ भी अच्छी है. Understanding. So the point is कि adaptability to both the scenarios has to be taken by that single man. You need to enjoy that whatever phase of your career you were in. I loved my phase as a special operative. I am liking it right now also. I'm learning so many things. मैंने कभी लैपटॉप में कुछ काम नहीं किया था. I was zero in laptop. तो मैं कितना टाइप कर देता हूँ. So I am learning. Although I don't like it. 1-2 घंटे के बाद मुझे बाहर जाना पड़ता है. But then ठीक है. You are learning. You are meeting so many people. Through these podcasts, you are reaching so many people. I won't have able to ever tell my experiences to the entire world the way I am telling it now. And the kind of adulation and respect you get. I still tell people what we did in uniform, what we did as special forces, it was because of the unflinching support of people like you. Army cannot do anything without the support of people, inadvertently or advertently. आप चाहकर भी अगर आप नहीं भी सपोर्ट कर रहे हो तो आप आर्मी को सपोर्ट कर ही रहे हो. That is why they are doing that kind of job. And the kind of love people and respect this country has for the armed forces, it's phenomenal. Now I come to know, which I was not aware when I was in the uniform, because we were not on the social media. We were told not to be on the social media. We were like silent operatives.
अभी इसमें ना बड़ा एक इंटरेस्टिंग मेरा क्वेश्चन था आपके लिए.
हाँ जी.
अब जैसे आपने कॉर्पोरेट का भी कंपैरिजन बड़ा अच्छा किया यहाँ पे कि लोगों को थोड़ा सा प्रेशर आता है कॉर्पोरेट में और वो हो जाते हैं अरे यार ये क्या है मेरे को इतना काम करना पड़ रहा है.
कॉर्पोरेट में काम नहीं किया है.
नहीं मैं बता रहा हूँ, मैं कर रहा हूँ.
आपने किया है. हाँ, तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि जो प्रेशर और स्ट्रेस है, माय सन हु इज 10 years old, उसको भी स्ट्रेस है. उसको इसको PlayStation 5 डैडी कब लेकर देंगे? You will
ये
ask
तो 21
the
साल वालों को
interim
भी है।
president of Bangladesh कि इसको country कैसे, उसको भी stress है।
हम्म,
You will ask some Bollywood celebrity, he has got a stress कि मैं एक कपड़े को 2 बारी क्यों ना पहन लूं। You will ask a फौजी कि भाई तू छुट्टी जा रहा है, वो सोच रहा है कि मेरी रिजर्वेशन हो जाए, उसमें भी स्ट्रेस। तो स्ट्रेस तो इट इज वेल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड इन every person on this mother earth. It's how much you are taking, how much you are enjoying, or whatever ways and means you find to bypass or overtake it is your capability. So
Yeah.
stress is always there. So coming to your question, you wanted to say something about what are you saying about corporate stress?
Yeah, so corporate stress, I wanted to actually interlink with this army thing.
Okay.
यार यहाँ पे तो आप यार डेथ से बड़ा क्या हो सकता
क्या
है?
हो सकता है?
मतलब डेथ से बड़ा क्या होगा यार? आपने चलो यार मेरे बॉस ने मेरे को वो कर दिया, ज्यादा
डांट मार
नौकरी
दी,
से
हाँ।
निकाल दिया, चलो मैं वर्स्ट केस
जिंदगी तो नहीं गई ना।
जिंदगी तो
दूसरी
नहीं
नौकरी
गई,
मिल जाएगी।
दूसरी नौकरी मिल जाएगी, राइट। अब यहाँ क्या हो रहा है कॉर्पोरेट में, लोगों को आपने तमाशा देखी है, राइट। तो कॉर्पोरेट में लोग ऐसे अपना पर्सनैलिटी डिसऑर्डर हो रहा है कि यार मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा मैं क्या करूं, मुझे इतनी इश्यूज है, प्रॉब्लम्स है, उसके लिए लोग परेशान हो रहे हैं, मैं क्या करूं। अब आप तो एक ऐसे प्रोफेशन में थे जहाँ पे यार बंदा ही चेंज हो रहा है, so many changes. Did that ever, this is the question actually for you, did that ever made you emotionally vulnerable? Because to corporate people it is making, that's something I can tell you, that their approach to emotions and people then changes completely.
Okay.
So did that ever happen with you?
No. मेरे को I've never taken stress in my life.
But how?
God willing, I've distributed it. So to be, maybe you call it large-hearted, or I've seen reverses in life, or I've seen failures in life. I can vouch for it. I have never taken at least this kind of stress in my life. And what I would say is that maybe because of my training and maybe because of my experiences in the special forces, मैं ऐसा हूँ जैसा मैं हूँ. Maybe I've seen life and death बहुत closely. So normal.
You're wearing a Shivite ka.
Yeah. So I believe in Lord Shiva. I have tattoos everywhere.
Is the whole tattoos representing him only? Like
no, not all. Majority are Lord Shiva. Then there is the animals, basically the apex things. My close group of guys, we call the A team. So it's generally. So what I'm trying to say is that I've taken it. It doesn't bother me much. Maybe I've seen that kind of life. Like I'm an entrepreneur, not a very thriving one. But it doesn't bother me, man. Wherever God takes you, maybe my destiny is somewhere else. We want something to happen. Let the Almighty also, He has also the last say in this world. He wants us to do something else. That's okay. I wanted to become a cricketer. Never became. I never achieved my first love. But then I became a special forces operative. That was another dimension which I was exposed to, which I would not have been exposed as a cricketer. Even if I would have played for India. This is something tremendous.
But aren't you complacent to God? Like I have observed this trend अभी people are very complacent to God. अरे मेरा ये हो गया. मैंने जैसे बताया मौत से बड़ा क्या हो सकता है? आपका खास दोस्त में भी कोई हो सकता है आर्मी में जो अब आपके साथ नहीं रहा. So when things like this keeps on happening, aren't you like यार मेरे साथ ही क्यों? Aren't you complacent about that?
हाँ, कई बार frustration आती है, एक दो बारी. बाहर निकल जाओ, घूम फिर के आओ. Again, start with it doesn't bother me much. Personally, it doesn't bother me. Like on social media handle, people ask कि stress, paratroopers, special forces mindset क्या होता है, कैसे develop करते हैं. Set yourself a aim and work continuously towards it. And do your part of it. Leave it rest to the Almighty. That's what it is. देखो life है, it's 100% of this life. I can be rest assured I'm not a philosophical kind of a guy. but I will tell you, you will not achieve 100%. If you get 60-70% of what you have desired, you should be a happy man. Some places you will get 100%, some places you will get 200%, but there will be places where you will get 50-60%. That is the will of the God. That is how the life functions.
I think the difficult part is to make peace with that.
Peace with that. People don't, in everything 100%, nobody gets 100%. You need to understand that part. 60-70% you are in love with a girl. Suppose your girlfriend is,
no girlfriend.
I'm just giving an example.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you want her looks to be perfect. You want her figure to be perfect. She should be well educated. She should be able to express herself. She should be independent. She should be homely. She should be everything. She should be a superwoman. But she lacks somewhere, man. कहीं तो कहीं वो कुछ ना कुछ तो she might not be compatible with your mother. उसको उतना तो grant यानी वो you need to figure that thing out. So life is not perfect. What I'm trying to bring out is कि आपने desire किया 60 अभी I will tell you, कोई बोलता है कि यार मैंने इतनी मेहनत की, इतने ऑपरेशन किए, मुझे मेडल नहीं मिले. अगर मेडल मिलके तुम्हारी जान चली जाती तो फिर तुम उसका क्या करते? You understanding? किसी को मेडल मिला, he is not alive. So life is, you can't everything can't be complaining कि मुझे ये नहीं मिला. See what have you achieved? See what have you got? आपने वो वर्दी पहनी, कितने लोगों ने अभी you can be president of India also. Can you jump from a aircraft? You can be Mukesh Ambani. Can you jump from an aircraft? You will do a tandem jump. Combat jump तो नहीं करोगे. So that is a different high for a person. Will you be able to hold a assault rifle? You fire. You're firing at bloody live targets. They are firing at you. You're getting the what you dreamt of. It is not Shah Rukh Khan killing 3 guys. It is a bloody real weapon. यानी तुमको वो life मिली है. You might not be a billionaire like Shah Rukh Khan, but तुमको वो so stop drawing comparisons with everything in life. You have achieved what you wanted to. Not everybody gets that kind of. No, you need to work for it. You have worked. आपको जो किस्मत में होगा मिल जाएगा. Accept it. My point at the end of the day is, do your bit. Try to be the best you can be, and leave it to the God. This is what I believe in the prophecy. There will be guys who say there is no God. For them, there is no. I'm sitting having this conversation with you, shot from 1 meter, survived 30 bullets, survived grenade splinters, survived parajump accidents. Here I am. So, you didn't come to help me. The audiences didn't come to help me. There has to be someone who has come. So, I believe that way. I take it that way. This is a total personal belief. I believe that way.
Yeah. What do you feel about therapy? It's like somewhere like a modern gym sort of thing. जैसे एक stage आया था ना कि लोग कह रहे gym के बारे में बात करनी, gym जाना. I think therapy is sort of now becoming that. What do you feel about it?
What kind of therapy?
Mental therapy. Talking,
My therapy
discussing.
is basically a stress buster, you want to say.
Maybe a stress buster, but maybe like a mental wellness therapy. You go to a psychologist basically.
No,
what do you feel about this? Like going to a psychologist?
It is ridiculous. You should not go to. I don't know. Now, there was a very interesting article I was reading. It was I think it was I read somewhere, LinkedIn. I read somewhere. I read quite a lot, but I generally don't read about therapies and but because I read 4 newspapers, so some therapy part comes into it. So I read. So there is one sleep therapist who says कि there are पता नहीं 4-5 types of sleeps. I have never seen those type of sleeps. कि आप जब सोते हो तो इधर होता है, फिर REM आती है, फिर deep sleep आती है. That lady has not served in the army. You serve in the army, तुमको एक ही बारी में sleep आए, 15 सेकंड में. I'm telling you, this is a fact, man. When you in probation, you are sleeping 1 hour a day, na? Your therapy goes for 6. When you sleep for 1 or 2 hours, तो आपको इतनी सी टाइम मिलेगा. I'm talking to you and I will sleep. And it will be deep sleep, small sleep, मुझे नहीं मालूम वो कौन सी REM लाइट्स ऑफ कर दो, ब्लू लाइट्स, ग्रीन, I don't believe in that stuff, man. It means you are not working hard in the day. You run 25 kilometers. I'm telling you, I vouch for it. You run 25 kilometers, you will get the deepest sleep.
हाँ, जैसे this is the example of a sleep therapist.
Yeah.
अब जैसे mental health therapist या psychologist भी है एक.
I don't believe in those concepts. I don't believe. You need to be your own therapist. I need to know कि मेरे को क्या करके मेरे को शांति मिल रही है. In my case, it is physical workout. I feel stress free. I need to go out for a run. If I have run 20 in the morning, I feel stressful with my computer or whatever I'm doing. I'll run 10 in the evening. I'm back to normal. I'm the happiest man on this earth. I don't believe in therapy, going to a psychologist. I don't do it.
You don't connect with that world.
I don't connect with that world. I don't think so कि it is me.
मतलब जैसे
ये लोग करना चाहते हैं करें.
मतलब एक hypothetical सवाल है. Please don't mind it.
नहीं, I don't mind it. I don't mind anything.
जैसे if your son maybe when he becomes a proper adult and he comes to you कि I want to explore therapy, what would be your response?
Let him go.
You won't try to stop him.
No, why should I stop him? I will not force him to join the special forces. He wants to become a rock star. Let him become a rock star, man. But be the best. What I try to be. He wants to become a guitarist. Become one. He wants to become a YouTuber. Be the best influencer you can be. Try and be the best what you are. I won't stop. If he has a problem, I will take him to the therapist. If he finds that gives him his quantum of solace. अगर वो उसको लगता है उससे वो ठीक होता है, he can go. There is no problem. How does it matter to me? I will try to, as a father, I will tell him कि this is भाई मेरे हिसाब से तो ये है. बाकी he's going to make his own decision, man. Till the time if he's an adult guy, he will take it. I will accept that. It doesn't matter to me. हम उसको guide कर सकते हैं. As a parent, I can tell him right and wrong, but final decision let him take. Let him learn. He will see the therapist. If he doesn't find it useful, he will himself leave it. If he finds it useful, he will continue. He will get better, get back to work and get cracking. So that is how it is. I don't stop people. I'm not against. Please don't mind.
Yeah.
My saying.
That's for your personal self.
कि भाई तुम करो पर मैं नहीं विश्वास रखता. मैं कहता हूँ मेहनत करो और फिर नींद अपने आप आ जाएगी.
Yeah.
That is what I've seen that kind of life. So even if you will put me to a psychologist, I will have 100 questions for him. He will say कि यार ये तो कहाँ से मानेगा ही नहीं. So he will give up on me. So that is what my experiences are, my mindset is. I don't believe in all these things. हमारी भी टूटती है स्लीप, क्यों नहीं टूटेगी? कभी 4 घंटे आती, कभी 5 घंटे आती. We are also passing through some kind of stress every time. But that is our, एक दिन आएगी 5 घंटे, 2 दिन आएगी, तीसरे दिन आएगी 8 घंटे. It has to come. You keep on working hard. Body तो will take that kind. जितना रेस्ट और न्यूट्रिशन बॉडी को चाहिए वो ले लेगी. आप वेट लॉस कर रहे हो, आप पूरी जान लगा लेना. आप कर लो, आपने 10-15 kg कम किया, बट इफ योर बॉडी रिक्वायर्स दैट काइंड ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन और आपने 2 दिन के लिए छोड़ा, वो दोबारा वो रीगेन कर लोगे. इट मीन्स द पॉइंट इज यू हैव टू हैव a balance where your ideal weight is. आप समझ रहे हो? आपको लग रहा है आपके लिए 100 kg ज्यादा है, आप 80 पे आना चाहते हो, आप 80 kg के वेट पे हो. So if your body feels good at 85 and you feel good about yourself without getting tired and all those things, so 85 is your ideal. Don't try to come to 80. You're getting my example. So I believe in that prophecy. I live by that prophecy. So that is my take. मैं ऐसा सोचता हूँ. मैं and I don't force it on anybody. Psychologist very good. If anybody finds his अगर उसको ठीक लगता है आप करो, and it gets you back to work. What you had originally यानी आपने जो एम बनाया था, आप उस पे जा रहे हो और वो आपको असिस्ट कर रहा है. Have 100 of sessions. You are spending your money. Do it. क्या प्रॉब्लम है? करो.
Got it.
Yeah.
And to put this conversation to its end, I am really liking the conversation. ऐसे 5-6 घंटे हम बैठ के बात करें, but maybe definitely for a second episode.
Yeah.
To end this conversation, I have this very interesting question for you. Provided you are someone who is very passionate about the forces,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think a part of it still stays with you. You're not
No, it
directly.
doesn't go away. Yeah, yeah.
You're someone who is directly not part of army. Abhi. You're retired, but still.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you loved most about the army, and one thing that you hate about the army?
Loved the operational part of it.
Mhm.
Every single minute I spent in field, downrange, fighting. And I hated the time I spent in peace stations. That's all.
What an answer.
Yeah, that is what. It's simple. Whatever time I spent in field, climbing mountains, chasing guys, jumping, training, being in active operations is the best days of my life. And whatever I did coming back to peace stations is the worst days of my life. Army life. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it.
That's a lovely answer, sir. That really explains why you are so passionate about this.
Yeah, that's what it is. I had come for that.
But thank you so much for doing this. It was lovely having you over here.
Pleasure is all mine.
I hope you had a great time.
I always have a great time sharing my experiences with various moderators. I really love the way people, but this was a different one, I think so. We delved into things which generally my operations were on a more of a mindset kind of a thing, and not the killing part. And it was a different podcast this time. Otherwise, I'm telling about glass eating, snakes, monkeys. What is the probation? What does para-SF do? I'm trying to explain to the world. But this is a good one. It's a different one. Certain parts which were touched were very, very, very nice. Yeah.
I'm really glad you felt that way. And to viewers also, if you want to see more content, make sure you check out Sir's channel, Colonel Shivender.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that and subscribe to his channel so that you can have content like this. And thank you so much again, sir, for doing this.
Thanks, Aftab. You and your team, and maybe the AP podcasts crosses all limits.
I hope
it's the best podcast in the world. Godspeed.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.